a third unverified piece of information. So I now have 3 dots, then 4 dots. Then when I get to 100 dots, suddenly a picture emerges out of the dots. It's no longer a set of dots. It's a picture that emerges. Oh, by the way, even though each dot may or may not be fully substantiated, the mass of the dots that come out to create the picture, suddenly, and you're sitting there looking at all these dots, and suddenly, out of this, it's like a 3D crossword, or a 3D picture puzzle.
Exactly. That's how. Oh, amazing, General. Stay there. We're going to break and come back and then shift into the health attack, what's happening, how we counter it. But that's exactly how I described it myself earlier this week. I'll study things for years, and then finally, it's like all the pieces come together. It's exactly what you're saying. I want to skip this break.
And copper pipes.
I want to skip this break, John. General Stubblebine. General Stubblebine.
He should be there.
Okay, I think he's handing the phone to Dr. Laibow. Dr. Laibow?
Yeah, I'm here too.
Are you guys sharing the telephone again down there in Panama?
No, we have separate phones.
Okay, fantastic. Listen, we're on the internet live right now. We're going to be back on the main AM and FM when we come back. What do you guys both want to get into first? What Codex Alimentarius is, a recap of how you've been fighting it, what the latest meeting revealed, and then go through the catalog of things they're doing to us, and then how to counter it, and then how folks can go join your organization or get on your free mailing list.
You also want to have time, Alex, to talk about reclaiming the production of food and taking back your health by taking back your food, becoming an intensive farmer in your apartment or whatever. And we want to talk about the Panama Project.
Let me just briefly ask the General a question. General, were you done with the statement about the dots, or do you want to briefly, when we come back, finish that and then get into all the other topics, or are you done on that?
All I want to do is just say, just like you did, suddenly a picture emerges and you say, truth dawns then. And now what do you do with it? You're stuck with this picture, and you now have to take the countermeasures against that.
Well, General, it's not. I mean, you call it dots. Now they're just announcing it. I mean, they say this is for the American people. They say they're going to use the Army on us. They say torture's good. They.
Yep.
And it's psychological warfare. I mean, you're an expert in this, but perhaps you can speak to this when we come back too. And then we're going to do a big turn with Dr. Laibow. And we appreciate her being here. Is that it seems they're throwing it in our face to kind of just shock us into acclimation when they go, we always said mercury was bad, now it's good for kids. We always said melamine was bad, now we say it's good for kids. We always said that poison was bad, now it's good. I mean, it's like they're wanting to reveal.
This was predicted, and this was delineated by George Orwell. We know how this works. He was a prescient genius who told us they're following the Orwellian script. They do it just as he said they would do it. They twist meaning, they change reality, and if we're not alert and holding on to our reality, we become their pawns.
All right, let's go right back to our guest, General Stubblebine, finishing up the point about in intelligence, a dot here, a dot there, and then overall, you get the clear picture. Now that's not even dots. They're just throwing it in our face, admitting everything. Finish up that thought, sir.
Well, the first thing that when you have the dots, and it's nothing but a set of dots, and then just suddenly, the entire picture just sort of is there in front of you, and you say, "Oh my God, I've had this information all along. Bingo, there it is. Now I know." The question then becomes, what do I do about it? When I know what the picture is and I know it's horrific, what the heck do I do? Do I just accept it? Do I just sort of lay down and give up? Or do I begin to resist? Do I mount a resistance of some sort? What do I do with this picture now that I know what it is? And what's happening, Alex, unfortunately, and you mentioned it, what's happening is they're now saying, oh, yes, by the way, we are going to destroy the Constitution. We're not going to pay attention to the Constitution. And, oh, by the way, we are going to deploy Army troops to quell any kind of resistance that you might put up. And if you resist, you probably are going to go into a detainment camp somewhere. Well, now that they're pronouncing it, now that they're saying it, again, what does the populace do? I'll tell you what most of it is doing. It's saying, whoa, back off, back off, back off. I think I will be quiet. I think I will just shut up and pay attention to what the new rules are going to be.
So you say they're openly,
those new rules.
General, sorry to interrupt. So you're saying they're openly announcing it to cause a chilling effect. And A, that's one question. And then B, I'm going to throw this in. They threaten Congress, as you know, or if you don't, we'll play the clip. Senator Inhofe admits it, others, with martial law if they wouldn't pass the banker takeover. So this is the illegitimate government, this menacing the real government. Go ahead.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. And oh, by the way, what is happening with all of these announcements? The introduction of fear. Fear subdues. And let me tell you, that's exactly where they're headed, because they're going to make it fearful for anybody to do anything in the way of resistance. Period.
Well, is something wrong with me then, or you? All this does is make me angry and want to mount a resistance.
Well, may I jump in?
Yes, go ahead, Doctor.
I think what's happening is that you and General Stubblebine and I and the other patriots and freedom folks have not brushed their teeth with enough fluoride. Fluoride, as I'm sure your listeners know, Alex, and as I know you know, was used initially in the Soviet Gulag to make the political prisoners easy to deal with. They became tractable, complacent. It's a neurological toxin, and all this nonsense about tooth decay prevention and so on is just so much nonsense. Fluoride is to subdue the populace, and at another time we can have a discussion.
Well, no, we got an hour and a half coming up, so we can get into that. By the way, 2 years ago, the American Medical Association said kids under 6, don't give it to them. It's bad for your teeth. So for those that don't believe us, they admit it's not good for your teeth. It causes dental fluorosis. But you're a medical doctor, so I mean, certainly you can speak to that.
Absolutely. But the point is that we have been poisoned. We have been subdued psychologically through the media. We have been rendered fearful, and we have been rendered apathetic by the toxins in our diet, by the microwaves, and by the toxic information, or quote information, that we've taken in. It's having its effect.
This is a full spectrum cocktail, and then you find out they knew decades before, and they deploy these as weapon systems against us, General.
Absolutely. And guess what? The food that is being degraded is being used as a weapon. I mean, it's not being touted right now as weaponized food, but that's exactly where they're going, and it's exactly what's happening. And so every bit of bite of food that you take in, if you allow them the privilege of eating the food that they would like you to eat, if you don't eat organic food, then you're going to get the GMO food. You're going to get all of the things that have been put into there that will impact your body and not impact it very well.
Well, sir, as you know,
for a health perspective,
as you know,
and so the food is being weaponized.
Yes. We're going to come back and talk about that more with Major General Stubblebine and Dr. Laibow. Now, folks, understand something. The UN said in '97 at the World Food Council in Beijing, they said we are going to use food as a weapon. And it's in the Royal Commission on Population, put out by the British they are. So what the General and the Doctor are saying is the truth. Amazing interview with General Stubblebine and Dr. Laibow and their website. We've got that up on screen at prisonplanet.tv.